Welcome to the Hormone Health Boss Show, where each week we will explore the tools, strategies, and education you need to confidently advocate for your health, reduce your symptoms, and navigate your journey from peri to postmenopause like a boss. I'm on a mission to ensure all women receive the great menopause care they deserve, because no one should feel dismissed, overwhelmed, or left in the dark about their health. This show is empowering you to thrive in midlife, because just surviving isn't good enough. You have a purpose, my friend, and this world needs you at your best. It's time to thrive like the boss you are. Let's get started. Hey girlfriend, welcome back to episode 11 of the Hormone Health Boss Show. If you have ever experienced digestive issues like gas, bloating, constipation, acid reflux, today's episode is for you. Today we're going to be diving into a topic that a lot of women don't really like to discuss. For many women, it can be embarrassing. And actually, the next few episodes, we're going to go over some of the common symptoms experienced in perimenopause and postmenopause that no one really wants to talk about. And in many ways, as women, we have come to normalize a lot of symptoms that we experience. The longer that we normalize these symptoms, the longer the disease process that's going on underneath can continue to progress. So I really want to help you identify what's going on, understand more about your body over the next few episodes, and then learn how you can take action to be in control of your health and hormones, because that's what Hormone Health Boss is all about. You becoming the CEO and the boss of your health. So let's talk about what is the gut microbiome, because this term is used a lot. You probably see it in social media and all over the place. So what really is the gut microbiome? Well, the gut microbiome is made up of a diverse amount of microorganisms, viruses, bacteria, and it keeps your gut in check. It keeps things working properly. And what we want to see is a very diverse spectrum of these microorganisms. And this microbiome is responsible to help with your digestive capabilities, to help with your immune function, and overall health in general. So when we see a shift in this microbiome, we can start to see lots of different issues come up. And in midlife, there are several things that are unique to this season that disrupt that microbiome even more so than other periods of our life. Statistically, we can actually take a look at research and see that women in the perimenopause transition actually have a shift in their microbiome like no other time in their history. More than 80 to 90% of women in midlife actually report having some type of symptoms. And that can range on a spectrum, right? It can be as simple as occasional constipation all the way up to debilitating IBD, IBS, and inflammatory conditions. So this is pretty serious. It affects most of us in some way, shape, or form, or at some point along the perimenopause transition. So what is going on in the midlife season that makes this shift in our microbiome happen? Let's take a look at a few things, because some of these you can address pretty easily on your own or with the assistance of a provider or a practitioner. So there is a lot that you can do to take control of your health. But we first have to know why this is happening. So one of the major shifts that happens is a fluctuation in hormones. Now, most women think my fluctuating hormones is leading to mood disturbances, which it is. But it also affects your gut. And these shifts in estrogen and progesterone, both of those hormones actually help regulate the digestive system, the digestive tract, the microbiome. It helps keep a diverse amount of that good bacteria when we have adequate levels of estrogen and progesterone. So during the perimenopause transition, as those hormones are fluctuating, we're going to see a fluctuation in our microbiome. Then postmenopausal women are going to have no hormone production, which actually research shows that postmenopause, the microbiome kind of stabilizes again, but at a lower functioning rate than it was before. So no matter how we look at it, the fluctuations and overall decline of estrogen is going to significantly impact the microbiome. As we see this shift in the microbiome, that then leads to things like leaky gut. I'm sure you've heard of leaky gut before. It's talked about a lot. So what is that? Well, our gut houses our immune system. It helps with digestion. It helps with absorption of nutrients. And that microbiome helps also protect us from toxin exposure. Now, that toxin exposure could be in the things we eat, drink, breathe, put on our skin. Our body has to detoxify and get rid of any of those chemicals or exposures. And that gut microbiome, having a healthy amount of it, is going to keep those things away. And it keeps our body from getting infections. Now, over time, if we have a poor diet or poor lifestyle, or our gut is overloaded, or we drink too much alcohol, there are many things that can impact it, including high stress. High stress increases our cortisol, and cortisol decreases our gut function and our immunity. So these things can contribute to the gut becoming leaky, and the normal tight junctions in our gut become loose, and then toxins get released into our bloodstream. So that makes digestion harder. That makes absorption of nutrients harder. It makes the detoxification process much harder. So we have to learn how to address the leaky gut. So a combination of multiple things is happening in this season of midlife, where we see the declining hormones. We see advancing age, just we're getting older. We see leaky gut due to lifestyle issues. So it's important to take a look at all of these potential causes and then work on the source so that we can improve our gut microbiome. You may not be aware of this, but your gut is so important, not just for digestion, but also as part of the detoxification process. And that is really important for midlife because we want to make sure that we are detoxifying our hormones in a healthy way. And if we're taking hormonal replacement therapy of any kind, we definitely want to make sure that our gut is able to detoxify these hormones. If our gut cannot detoxify the hormones, then we're going to have a recirculation of estrogen, primarily estrogen. And that can lead to imbalances in our estrogen to progesterone ratio, leaving us estrogen dominant. So even post-menopause, when you're not making very much estrogen, if you're recirculating that because your gut is unhealthy and cannot eliminate those hormones after they've been used, then we're going to see imbalances. So you're already aware of the common symptoms of GI dysfunction, right? I don't have to tell you, gas, bloating, constipation, IBD, diarrhea, gastroesophageal reflux disease. These are all symptoms that many women experience in midlife, and we tend to normalize them. We tend to turn to over-the-counter pharmaceuticals, things like Tums or Pepcid, acid reducers. We look at laxatives. And many women, if I asked you right now to open up your purse, I bet something would be in there for your digestive system. And we don't even pay attention to it anymore because it's become so normal in our life that we have stopped listening to our body. So one thing I want you to be paying attention to, just pay attention over the next couple of weeks and try to listen to what your body is telling you, because these symptoms that you experience are warning signs that something is off, that there is dysfunction and distress going on in the body, and we need to address it. So let's not blame it on, I had too much dairy. That could be a culprit, but we blame our symptoms on, I didn't get enough sleep, I didn't drink enough water, I didn't have enough dairy, and they can contribute to the problem, but usually there's a deeper issue going on. So let's take a look at some symptoms that you may not be very concerned about, or you may not be linking to gut dysfunction in midlife and that microbiome tanking. Number one, I see an increase in allergies or food sensitivities, skin reactions, rashes, more histamine responses where the body is kind of attacking foods and things that you are exposed to, it can be in your environment or in your foods, that you see an increase reaction to that you've never had before. Very common in midlife. And that speaks to the gut directly, to that leaky gut and our immunity decreasing, right? So as the gut becomes leaky and we release those toxins into the bloodstream, the body begins reacting to them. So if you've noticed an increase in allergy symptoms or food sensitivities, this could be a clue that something is off in your gut. Number 2, an increase in illnesses, colds, harder to get over the cold. That's a direct correlation to the gut. Again, our immune function is housed, like 90% of it is housed in the gut. So when we have poor gut function, we're going to see poor immunity. Number 3, constipation. Now, I want to share with you a little story, and I want to kind of camp here a little bit because this is really important. Talk about normalizing symptoms. When I work with my VIP clients one-on-one, we do a very extensive history into their bowel movements. I know that kind of sounds gross, but I'm a nurse. I've talked about it my whole life. It doesn't bother me. We go into their bowel movement history, and I will ask, do you have a history of constipation or diarrhea? Women will say no. Then we'll get to the question that asks, how many bowel movements do you have a week? And women will check almost always. They will write on their evaluation 1 to 3 bowel movements weekly. Ladies, we need to be having 1 to 3 bowel movements every single day. If our gut is functioning properly and we are digesting foods properly and absorbing the nutrients that we need, and our gut is working and our microbiome is happy, then we are going to be having 1 to 3 healthy bowel movements daily. So 1 to 3 a week is not going to cut it. That is not going to allow us to eliminate the waste products. It tells us, it's a major clue that the gut is off. Now, there can be many contributing factors to constipation. If you're not hydrating well, if you're not getting electrolytes, if your mineral balance is off, that can be impacting it. But again, midlife, perimenopause, we're going to see poor gut dysfunction. And it's very common to see the constipation side of things. Some women do experience maybe alternating constipation and diarrhea. That shows, the gut microbiome is not diverse enough to handle digestion properly. Then let's talk about number 3. I'm going to talk about GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now, many women, 42% of perimenopausal women and 47% of postmenopausal women deal with chronic GERD or report dealing with chronic GERD symptoms. And when we go to the doctor and we talk to them about it, they're very quick to put us on a PPI or a proton pump inhibitor that reduces the acid in our stomach. But our problem with GERD is usually not a low acid production issue. I think less than 5% of people with GERD actually have low stomach acid. The problem that we see is actually a low stomach acid pattern. And this can be very problematic in multiple ways. Okay, so when we have low stomach acid, we're going to have a reflux pattern because the sphincter in your esophagus that keeps all the acid in the stomach, the signal for it to stay closed is stomach acid. So when you don't have enough of it, that sphincter or that valve doesn't stay closed, okay? Also, if we have low stomach acid, we're going to be more prone to infections in the gut because stomach acid helps keep infections away and prevents common infections that we see in midlife like H. pylori. It keeps that away. If we don't have enough stomach acid, we're not going to break down foods. We're not going to be able to absorb the nutrients, the amino acids from our diet, and then we're going to have nutrient deficiencies. So there are several things that we need to really look at when it comes to GERD. If you're having that as a symptom, there is a lot going on that we really need to look at and address. So we really want to pay attention to the clues our body is giving us. We don't want to be covering them up with Band-Aid solutions like over-the-counter medications. We really want to get to the root cause of this and look at the gut and how we can really do some healing work. So let's talk about 5 ways you can improve your gut microbiome and your GI function. Okay, first and foremost, let's get hydrated with some good clean water. 60 to 100 ounces. I actually like to go by half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're 150 pounds, you need to have 75 ounces of water a day, and make sure you're hydrating with electrolytes as well. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium are really important to help with your mineral balance so that you can actually absorb the water. Number 2, move more. We are sedentary, right? We are sedentary human beings, and we sit behind a desk all day long and we don't move enough. Just moving our body is going to help with the motility in our gut. So do your best to get in 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day. The better you're able to move more frequently throughout the day, the better. So saving a workout until evening, but not moving all day long is not the best way to approach movement. Try to move frequently throughout the day. Number 3, nutrition. You knew I was going to say this, right? Nutrition is so important from many aspects. So first of all, we need to make sure we're paying attention to the amount of fiber that we're getting in our day. Many women are worried about the amount of carbohydrates they're getting. Instead of looking at carbohydrates, take a look at your fiber intake. And are you getting 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day? I bet you're not. Most women are getting less than 10 grams per day. Some are getting none. Fiber helps eliminate toxins from the body, helps eliminate waste, and it's food for your microbiome. So get in some high fiber foods that can be non-starchy vegetables is good for that, feeding the gut microbiome, as well as fermented vegetables, polyphenols, and antioxidants. So those are going to be fruits and vegetables that are very colorful and full of nutrients that can feed your gut and feed that gut microbiome so it becomes more diverse and more healthy. We also want to avoid any of the things that might kind of make that gut barrier mad. Things like sugar, alcohol, dairy, gluten. If you're having symptoms in the GI dysfunction area, you try eliminating those for 30 days and see how things feel in your gut. Number 4, some supplements that you can use, or supplements and foods that you can use to help heal your gut microbiome. Bone broth is very healing for most people. If you don't have a histamine issue, bone broth can be amazing. Having that on a daily basis can be really helpful, in addition to collagen. It's the same collagen as what is in bone broth. Digestive enzymes can be very helpful for the gut. Most of us don't make enough digestive enzymes, and so those will help break down the foods that will help with absorption of nutrients and increasing the motility in the gut. Now, if you're using a digestive enzyme that has hydrochloric acid in it and you have a reaction, like maybe you have more GERD or more symptoms, that is actually a clue that maybe you do have the H. pylori infection, because those two don't do well together, stomach acid and H. pylori. So if you experience that, it could be a clue. And lastly, I would say apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is great for the gut. It's great for acid production. You don't want to drink it straight because that'll take the enamel right off your teeth. But having it in your salad dressings, mixing it in warm water in the morning with some lemon can also be helpful. And finally, magnesium. If you are having trouble with constipation, magnesium citrate or magnesium oxide can be beneficial tools to help relax that gut. And finally, number 5, let's talk about some testing that you can do to see what's going on in the gut. With my VIP clients, I like to use the GI map, because this is a stool test that you can do at home, very simple. And it's a DNA test that looks at the gut microbiome, the diversity in the gut. We can also take a peek at your digestive enzymes and your immune function and the inflammatory processes that are going on. So we can identify gut infections that need to be addressed, particularly H. pylori. And we can see if you need probiotics or if you don't need probiotics. Many people are told, oh, take a probiotic. Everybody needs to take a probiotic. But if you have an overgrowth of bacteria, then a probiotic could actually be causing more symptoms in your life. So doing a GI map, if you really have issues in the GI department or the immune function department, then a GI map could be super beneficial for you and give you a lot of answers to what is going on. All right, girlfriend, I am so glad that you joined me today for this episode. If you were able to find some valuable information in today's episode, I would ask that you would join me on my mission to empower women all over the world to take control of their health in peri and postmenopause. And would you take this episode and share it with a friend who needs to hear it? And if you are interested in learning more about how to work with me or to get your GI function tested and to work on a gut healing protocol, feel free to reach out to me. I will drop my link in the show notes so you can schedule a complimentary call with me to learn more about the services I provide and if we're a good fit. So, friend, keep thriving like the boss you are, and I will see you next week for another episode of the Hormone Health Boss Show.